Hey, how are you? I just wanted to quickly explain a bit about my service. So, I've been a tour guide now for probably about 6 years, um, taking people on small groups up to 19 people to see various parts of Iceland. And now I wanted to do my own tours, and it's gonna be with a bit of different twist to it. And I want to explain that today. And so, for instance, coming with me on a private tour is not just visiting the same sites as on the group tour with a variable length of time, spending more time in one stop and less time in one stop or whatever. It's actually, there are so many things we can do. And at the moment, I am here on the peninsula Snæfellsnes, where I am from, middle of the west coast of Iceland. A fantastic part, by the way, especially for someone like me who I love wilderness and nature, and the peninsula has a lot of extremely interesting places to see and visit. Um, and on our tour, so there is like a spectrum. We could do a tour which is going to viewpoints and then seeing interesting like museums and exhibitions. And there's a guy here on the peninsula who does fantastic art with rock, carves out shapes and creatures in rocks, which is very fun to see. But also we could have our tour being more of a hiking tour, and so there's a lot of fantastic hikes both on the top of a mountain and down by the ocean. And where our tour, our day together will land on that spectrum is not only gonna depend on your interest, it's also gonna have it to do with the weather. So if the weather is gonna be very windy and maybe rainy, that makes that frames beautifully the nature here, and the sights here are fantastic in places in the weather like that. But it's also not so nice for a long hike. So we would adjust our tour for the weather somewhat, of course. But there is another spectrum, and this is something I wanted to. This is one of the reasons I'm doing these tours on my own now, because I'm a spiritual person. I love self development and thinking about and talking about feelings and emotions, and how to make connections better, and how to make relationship better, and how to make communications better. And just I am a people person, so that's probably one one extreme of that. But so yeah, this other spectrum of our tour would be, we could I could tell you about normal tour guiding stuff. I could tell you about the history of Iceland, the culture, the geology. On this peninsula, I would tell you stories about my grandmother and great grandmother and great grandfather and so on. So and that would be really fun. But there's also the possibility of to talk about spirituality and self development, and how the nature here on the peninsula kind of accommodates or facilitates maybe spiritual growth and self-development. That we have here, for example, there are huge lava cliffs which are deeply embedded in the crust of the earth, which make for a great conductor for the earth's energy. And to just be somewhat close to them, in proximity to them, this is gonna be quite often, they will put people in a place of what people try to reach when they do meditation. So being more present to the moment, um, worries about the future kind of fade away, and then uh, regrets about the past or thoughts about the past also kind of uh, like go to zero. And one great thing about that is, once you have visited such a site, later when you get back, you can meditate and revisit and kind of realign you, and then kind of plug into that. So that's one fantastic thing to do. So, and that's a spectrum you can do regardless of the weather. So I hope you will join me on a tour. We will be traveling in quite a style. This is our vehicle. This is at the moment there is 3 seats, but there are 2 more in the back. So 5 people can travel here in comfort, and actually they say best in class. This is by the way, it's a Tesla Model X, model 2023. So and in Iceland, electricity is made with just a hydro and geothermal, so there is no emissions and no indirect emissions either. So that's also nice. I also like how quiet it is, and I even had. I was once driving around, and there were some horses that escaped from their fence, and they were on the road, and I stopped, and because there is no sound in the car, they kind of they just go walk to me, and I was backing up my Tesla, and the horse just came after me. It was quite funny. So yeah, traveling peacefully and maybe mindfully. So I hope you have a chance to join me, and I'll see you then.